All right, hello and welcome back to Let's Get Lit. In today's episode, we're going to be going over the Squire's tale from the Canterbury Tales. In this tale, we're going to see a brave knight give 3 gifts to a king and his family. What do? Are they special? Well, tune in and let's find out. Shall we? Get ready, because here we go. The Squire starts his story telling everyone about Cambuscan. He was a noble and honorable king who was very faithful and victorious in all of the wars he fought. He had a wife named Elfetta, 2 sons, and a daughter. The Squire goes on to tell the audience that his daughter was so beautiful that words could not do her justice. The story then moves on to the king wanting to throw a celebration for the 20th anniversary of his reign towards the end in the Ides of March, which he was certain he was going to be the best days for the party. The day of the party arrives and everyone is feasting on wonderful meats, fruits, and stews. During the 3rd course of dinner, as the minstrels are making merriment, suddenly a knight comes through the doors on his steed, holding a large broad mirror, a gold ring on his finger, and a naked sword sheathed on him. He makes an eloquent salute to the king and to his family, and then he addresses the court. He tells the court that he has brought gifts from his king for the family. The first gift is that of the horse, who is not actually an animal, but a magical gift that will last for 24 hours. The king can use this horse to take him wherever he would like to go. The second gift, the mirror, is for his wife, and will allow for her to see any adversity that may come her way or to the kingdom. It will also show her any fiend or foe. The third gift is that of a golden ring, and it's for the king's daughter. And if she were to wear it, she would be able to understand what the birds are singing up in the trees. She will also have unlimited knowledge of all the grasses and herbs that can help with healing people. The fourth and final gift is that of the sword. The sword is unlike any other sword, and in fact, it can bite through any type of armor or protection. The knight also says that no one will be able to treat these wounds except for the sword itself. If you were to cut or hurt someone with the sword and want to heal them, all they would have to do is use the flat side of the sword and touch it to the wound, and it heals itself. After this, the court divvies out the gifts to each person, and the horse stands in the room unable to be moved by any force. The knight is then shown into a chamber. Everyone is in speculations of these gifts the supposed knight has come and brought for the king. Many men talk about how they feel like all of these gifts are not really gifts, but they might be tricks to try to catch the king off guard, so another emperor can come in and steal his territory. The story then jumps back to the king, who has gone to see the knight and asks him how the horse works. The knight explains to the king that this horse will take him anywhere that he wants to go. All he has to do is get on top of the horse, tell him which country he would like to go to, twirl a pin that's inside of his ear, and the horse will take off. Once they are above the country that the king wants to visit, he will then twirl another pin and the horse will take him down to that country. Once the horse has landed, he will stay there unable to be moved. However, if the king wishes the horse to be gone, all he has to do is say a certain phrase, which the knight says he'll tell him at a later point, and that to bring the horse back, all he'd have to do is say another phrase. But again, the knight says goodnight and told him he would tell all of this at another time. They take the bridle off the horse, and the king goes to store it away with all the nice gems and jewels. When he does this, the horse suddenly vanishes, and he's not quite sure how this happened. After this, the king and everybody else continues to party and make merriment until the bright hours of the next morning. This is where part 1 of the story ends. Part 2 begins with the Squire telling of Canacee, the daughter, and how after everyone had gone to bed in the morning, she is just now waking up. She decided that she did not want to stay up all night partying, but that she wanted to make sure she had her sleep and not look so tired. She also really wanted to try the ring out the knight had given her and to her family. So, she wakes up in the early hours of the morning very excited. Her chamberlain also wakes up and asks her why she's awake, and she responds, and the chambermaid sends 11 girls to go with her walking in the morning air. As they are walking about, she can hear Lady Falcon in distress. As she looks up, she can see the Lady Falcon, who is very weak, beginning to tear away at her flesh. She looks upward towards the falcon and asks the falcon what is wrong and why she's in great distress. The falcon falls out of the trees from weakness. Canacee catches her just in time. As the Lady Falcon wakes up and tells Canacee of her story about how she fell in love with a younger falcon who promised her all of his love, but in the end, he ended up falling in love with a younger bird. She got so upset by this that she flew away, grew very tired and weak, and began to punish herself. Canacee, who also has the power to hear the bird, also knew of remedies from the ground to take back to the castle and nurse the falcon back to health. Towards the end of the story, the squire also talks about some of the other family members and how they use their magical gifts later on in life. To one of the brothers using the sword and getting a wife, to the king and queen, the squire says that he'll pick up these items later on in his story, and this is the end of part 2. Part 3 of the squire's story is literally one sentence long, and all it says is Apollo's world has chariot up high until the house of Mercury the sly. The Franklin cuts into the story after this sentence and says, I wish I had a son like you, a son that was really noble and that is a great person. He says that his son unfortunately likes to gamble and basically makes the Franklin foot the bill. The host then butts in and says that he believes it is the Franklin's turn to tell a tale. The Franklin does not object and says, yeah, of course, I'll be glad to oblige. And so he begins his story. This is where the squire's tale ends. We don't really get much more after this, and that's pretty much it. So, I hope you enjoyed this part of a story. Have a great rest of your day. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay lit.